All right. Good morning, everyone. Today, Andrew and I are so excited. We get to sit down with Holly Worley for Fun Fact Friday. As this airs, it'll be Cinco de Mayo, so it should be a really popular day on Friday. Holly, we're so excited to have you. I mean, just a wealth of knowledge, not only from an industry perspective, but in your community. We were chatting earlier today. We've been together for about 10 years or so within the industry, and just really watching you grow has been exciting. And I think you're now at a place where you're not only holding your own, but you're creating new systems and processes for your lifestyle. We got kids living in kind of multiple states, and you're doing that whole thing. And so welcome.
Welcome. Well, thank you. Thank you, Michael and Andrew. It's nice to be with you guys this morning. Yes, I can't believe it has been 10 years. And yes, you have been with me on this journey. So it has been.
Yeah. And then you live up in Evergreen, you're up in the foothills there, and your
Yes.
husband's an appraiser, right?
Yes. So we moved up here. I can't believe it. It's been almost 9 years since we've been in Evergreen. So, but I grew up in Littleton, and I've worked in the Denver metro area my entire career. So I have many friends and family that live down in the Littleton area. And so, but it's been so fun to learn the Evergreen area and get to know this community. I'm on the Evergreen Chamber Board, and just getting to know people that way. And it's been quite the experience, and I really do love it. It's a lot of fun up here.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, start off our fireside chat today. Talk to us a little bit about, as you reflect on 10 years in the industry and 10 years in the business, maybe some things that have maybe changed in the last 10 years and some things that have maybe stayed the same.
Oh gosh, well, let's see. The one thing that's always consistent that never changes, and for me anyways, is just the relationships. So my business is 95% referral. So it's just about making connections, picking up the phone, talking with people, being connected. So for me, that has not changed. Some things that have changed, especially after COVID, is how we communicate. So a lot of times now, the lunches and coffee meetings were always my favorite, but we do more of the Zoom now, more phones, and that's nice as well too. I still really, for me, I'm a little old school, so I really miss and love the one-on-one connection, the face-to-face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And so with Andrew, Andrew bringing a whole new breath and a whole new focus now, obviously, into our brokerage as our managing broker. I think you're right. I think having the hybrid has been amazing, especially for you where you live, but also just from the standpoint of if you want to, come into an office, you have an office to come into, right?
Absolutely. Which I use frequently.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'd like to hear, because I know you're someone that's, you're kind of considering expanding your business into Florida. So has this kind of mobile office, hybrid office scenario, has that made that decision a little bit easier since I'm wondering if it feels like you don't have to like pick and choose as much, or if you can feel like you can connect with clients, around the country, even globally, if that's as you're pursuing that longer term and multiple state goal as a realtor.
Yeah, I get a lot of calls from agents all over, actually. So I do a lot of referral business. I'm on the relocation team, and I as well. But for Florida, what I'm learning is I'm getting to know agents down there. And for me, I think it's probably going to be more of just connecting and probably doing a referral type of service. And I'm just going to expand on that in that area, and maybe even some other places as well. I go to Florida often because, my son lives there. So that's why I'm always there. So it's fun to kind of mix a little of the pleasure and business while I'm down there.
Yeah, there you go. And then, I mean, I guess as someone, I think 10 years is a pretty clear milestone in a lot of people's careers. So I know like we reflected back a little bit, and how do you see, if we look forward 10 years, we kind of cast our vision down the road a little ways. Do you have plans for how your business might grow and change and develop? Have you, how do you see maybe the advancement of some of these more online and technology tools that we have access to now? how does that impact our business going forward as someone who's kind of seen that, initially start and really kind of become a prominent feature in a lot of what we do in real estate these days?
Yeah, kind of the view into the future is automation. Anything we can automate things is always helpful. Time is so limited with all the things we do. And I know Windermere has a lot of tools that helps us do that. So I always take advantage of everything I can that makes our lives a little bit easier. So going into the future, I'm sure we're going to see more and more of that, and it's just going to keep continuing. So we just have to learn, grow with it, and just expand on it. My 5-year or 10-year plan is to business going, continue to build those relationships, and just to continue to be the full service agent I have always been. So if I can continue doing that, that's a success.
Well, it's interesting. You brought up a couple things that I think Andrew and I were going to touch on is some of the tools and tech really are moving quickly, right? And I think Windermere does a great job keeping us, in the front, keeping us fresh, keeping our saw sharp. But also talk about with us a little bit about some of the things like transaction coordinator and some of our marketing and the local support, right? We regularly say, we'd like to have you out wining, dining, and signing, right? And leave the admin work to the office, things like that. So how has that helped your business? And do you think it's going to continue to be a resource as you move forward?
Oh, sure. I think it's wonderful that we have a transaction coordinator for our office. Jerry does an amazing job, so kudos to Jerry. And yes, that is very helpful, and I would always recommend doing that. And if we can expand on that even more, I would love to maybe have an assistant that's some point, but I'd like to take some stuff off your plate. And like you said, keep the wining, dining, and signing going, which is my fun and favorite part of everything. Because again, for me, it's all about the relationship and helping people move from point A to point B and staying a part of their lives as we go along.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more about that, because we have talked a lot about how a lot of the technology and the services that are, prevalent in the real estate industry, and particularly here, we're fortunate to have access to a Windermere, do make our jobs a little bit easier. And they also do make a lot of that data that used to be kind of gatekept from the public, they can have access to it themselves pretty directly. So you're a person who has a ton of success, even when all that information is out there. So what are some of the things you do to maintain those relationships? What kind of dinners are you taking these guys to be able to maintain your success despite all this access to the public information? And how are you making yourself a part of their real estate team when you're working with clients as buyers and sellers?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. So, most people love to window shop, don't we all? I mean, that's what we get to do these days. Like, we can look online and we can look at everything. But, if you want to be on taking that step, is what a lot of people need that assistance with. Making that phone call, doing the contract. There's multiple offers again now, so things are very competitive. And if you're not working with someone, it's very difficult to get your foot in the door. I think, phone calls. Communication is very big with me. So when I do multiple offers, I create a relationship with that listing agent, before I'm even sending over an offer. So, and then once you're under contract, there's a lot of work that people don't see as well. Keeping everything on board, the objections, the resolutions, the negotiation that goes on, and keeping everybody on an even keel. And, our goal is to get them in their home. So I think that you're going to always need that touch. You're always going to need that customer service to make this happen. I'm hoping so, at least in the future, right?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think, my
Hope it doesn't get so automated that they don't need that part of it, but
yeah, exactly. And I think you're right. And I think we talked about it at our last Power Hour. We talked a little bit about some tools and tech like ChatGPT and a few of the other ones that are out there. I know a lot of industries are now using that for marketing and whatnot. But a few things that you can't do with the computer, right, is there's a gut feel of an emotion when you walk in the front door. right? There's navigating the emotion of the transaction. So whether it's lending, title, appraisal, whatever that is. And we do that. I think that's really a big core. And I've always said from contract to close is where we really earn our income. Even though we technically earn it when you go under contract, but we really earn it, the relationship piece as you're laying out. And you can't Google your way into a house. And I think that they're always going to need us and need our environment and that level head and just even keel all the way through that a computer or an app or an AI is not going to be able to do.
Yes, I hope so too. And I agree.
I think one thing that's important that I always try to, and I think our team does really well. So I think there's maybe, I mean, it maybe doesn't conjure in our head because we're just so automatic on it. But I mean, the reason or the way to make yourself, valuable is to always expand your value, right? So I think one thing that we always do a really good job of, and I think it's a large part due to Michael, as our leader and you as one of our experienced agent, Holly, is we are always there to offer assistance outside of the scope of our job, right? So like, yeah, we'll help you with, finding a house and negotiating under contract and working a contract to close. But we have developed relationships with strong partners on the lending side, the title side, plumbers, architects, electricians, anything, everything you can think of. We're typically the first call that our clients make, anything housing related. And we're going to stay in our lane. I'm not going to get out there and connect their light switch for them, but I'll give them a good referral that can take great care of them. And same way, I'm not going to speak out of turn on a loan program, but I'm going to connect them with one of our great people that we trust that's going to be able to give them the right answers. So I think the more we can make ourselves, the more solutions we can offer, the more invaluable we become. Even in a world when you can hop on Zillow and have an idea what your house is worth, even though there's some variance in there. But the home buying experience is a lot more than writing the check at the end of the day, just like the real estate experience is a lot more than us cashing the check at the end of closing, right? So there's a lot of things that go on in there. And I think you're a great example of someone that, I like to still pick things up from in my real estate career as well. So it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, that is a big thing that I do, is helping people outside of the closing, with, title or lender or inspector, like making those connections. I do keep a pulse on that. I always ask my clients, it's like, did you have a good experience? Did you like that electrician? Did you like that mover? And I keep a note of that and try to pass that information along. So absolutely, customer service is really my my strength. If I tell my people I'm available, so when they call me, they can get a hold of me. So it's not in our businesses, we like to try to make them 9 to 5 as much as we can, but they really aren't. If you need me at 9 o'clock, I'll pick up the phone. So, yeah.
Yeah, and then just to shift gears a little bit, I'd be interested to hear, because someone who's you're a person who's had a lot of success transitioning markets, right? Like you grew up in the Denver metro area out of Littleton, and then now you're a staple in the real estate community, never getting the foothills. So what did you have to do to make that successful transition? And what are some agents that, obviously it's a bigger move being like an agent moving from out of state to Colorado, but a lot of the same skills would be put to use, or even someone who's transitioning into the industry from a different career. So how are we able to successfully not only become a realtor, but transition into a new market than what you grew up in?
Sure. So, my history prior to real estate is sales and marketing, business development. So those skills were easy for me to transfer over into just a different product. As far as a different location, I just, I'm very involved in the community. Like I said, I'm part of the chamber. I believe into these events. I believe in collaborating with other agents up here. So you just really have to entrench yourself in wherever you have moved to, wherever you are currently living. I was, on our HOA board. It's just being involved in all those things and just making those relationships one-on-one. And those spread because, their friends tell their friends, and then you get invited to coffees and, little luncheons and things like that. So yeah, just get involved in your community.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head there, Holly. It's about the house happens to be a product, right? But we're in the people business at the end of the day,
Right.
and for some it's we're helping them buy, some sell, some refinance, some make a lateral move. It all depends. We're here as a resource. And Andrew alluded to that earlier. And I think as long as we continue to add more value and grow and learn, but also I think one of the things lately that's been on my mind is being able to dissect the information and discern the information. There's a lot, whether it's coming from other licensees, whether it's coming from lenders or title or industry partners, or even our own clients. There's a lot of misinformation out there, right? And being able to, every home is
Yes.
different, every neighborhood is different, every situation is different, right? And to try to lump it all into one thing and make it a systematic, clinical, there's process, yeah, in the back end, I get that. But as far as the piece of it, the relationship piece of it, it's about doing the right thing for our clientele, right? But at the same
Absolutely.
time, and sometimes, and I think we've talked about this in our one-on-ones, we have clients of our own that sometimes we're like, I think you just need to hold right now. I think we'd love to sell your house and we could sell your house, or we'd love to have you buy one, but maybe right now, so I think it's being able to have those really strong conversations in your conviction and be able to really analyze what's going on, too. So, and I know that from your history, there's certain situations where you've been in that chair and you've had to have that dialogue, right? And they're not fun necessarily, but it's no different than if you're sitting down with the financial planner, right? And they're like, now's not the time to sell it, or something, right? Your heart may want to do one thing, but we have to be
Right.
very principled, right, in what we do. And I think that's what separates us long term from the relationship piece versus the transactional piece, right? And we really strive to do that. And from training to support to whatever that might be, to help also be your muscle, if you will.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Yep.
Cool. So you've
Yeah, I
got,
think
so
it's.
go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say, I think that's one thing that we try to do is take our realtor oaths very, very seriously. We review every single, I would say every quarter, basically, we review, the oaths that we take as realtors here in our meetings as a team. And we owe our clients duty above ours, man. No, and if I think that that's an important conversation to have, is give an honest opinion about someone's situation. And of course, to your point, Michael, they're going to make their own decisions, and people have to sell their house or buy a house in suboptimal situations all the time. But as long as we're empowering the most information that we have, and let them make the choice that's best for them, I think that's all we can do. But I agree. I think that's one thing we do take very seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm glad that we offer it. I take that very seriously as well, keeping, up with our continuing education and our ethics training. And I do find that all very important. Again, things that we do on the back end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So is there something, as you look today, as you're looking down the road today for your long-term plans or goals, is there things that, you'd like to see us take a look at, or that you need some help with, or that maybe another enhancement that we need to be looking at, even as a brokerage, but even to support you?
Oh, yeah. As a brokerage, I love that we are always continuing to grow. And I love we bring in a lot of new agents. I love the fact that you guys spend a lot of time, you train and, get the new guys up and running. And so I don't think they realize it now, but in the future, they're going to appreciate all the time you've spent and your due diligence to, the training. And I think that goes to along with just how dedicated you guys are to this business and to, I mean, I always appreciate that. As far as maybe long term, haven't quite put a lot of thought into that quite yet. I think just the continuing to grow, that's really important, having more people we can share ideas and bounce things off with. So
That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
awesome. Well, as we're wrapping it up here on our fireside chat, we'll let unless Andrew has something else, but if you want to go ahead and wrap us up here on Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. Woo, enjoy the day.
All right. Well, Holly, thank you so much. We'll probably have you back again later in the year for some other things, but we appreciate you. We enjoy you, and we're here to support you.
Great. Thank you, Will and you guys, for all your hard work.
Awesome. Thank you too, Holly.
Bye.